Welcome back, everyone. So today's video is actually a request by either a guild member or a subscriber that happens to be a guild member. I'm not sure how to word that. But please look in the description below. The description is going to tell you how I evaluate these commanders. I've come up with a top 10 list for commanders that you can get pretty easily in the early game for free or as a light spender that you can actually use all the way up into the end game. Now, as I said, please read the description below on how I am critiquing these commanders. And if you think that there's a commander that should have been put on this list, let me know in the comments where do you think it should be and who they should replace. Without further ado, enjoy. Ira comes in at number 10 on my list. So Ira, you can receive from A-class medals. There's also some events for her. While she is rare to come out of the A-class medals, you can get her pretty early. Her first skill, Energy Charge, it converts accuracy into attack. Now, you don't really want accuracy when it comes to Ira, so you will be able to forego the accuracy bonuses for the tech tree. She is best used with T11 and early game that might take a little bit to get to, but her second skill, Matrix Firing, this turns a miss into a guaranteed attack which with extra damage, and it cannot be affected by damage reduction. Because she's really best used at T11, and she is more difficult to get from A cards, especially to S class, that's why she's so low on this list. And we have Black at number 9. So Black is probably one of the best endgame commanders there is. You can get Black from A cards, as well as there are some events to get him early on. Although it's not that often, so it can take a minute to get to S class. But his first skill, Battle Season, it increases defense and accuracy. His second skill, Best Offense, it will take his defense and not convert it, but will add it to attack. So you're not actually losing defense, but you can take the defense that is inherently strong with airship, convert it, and increase it to attack. Black can be easily used in the early game and mid game. When it comes to the end game, his gear can get quite expensive to use him. You don't need T12, but the T12 accuracy troops definitely help him. He does not have a guaranteed hit. So that's why Black is so low on this list. Number 8 is Lilith. She's an infantry commander. She's a native A class. You can get her pretty frequently. There's a lot of events for Lilith. You can get it pretty easily to S class. Her first skill, Light Veil, this just provides a shield based on HP. Her second skill, Sleep Bomb, most people will use this as a fourth skill, but what this does is it makes your opponent skip their action and then lowers their dodge. She doesn't have a traditional guaranteed hit, but the dodge drop does help. She's not a very good attack commander. She's a decent tank. Her skills are alright. You can use her all the way to the end game. There may be better options on this list, but if you like her playstyle, she's easy to get to S class, and she can be played at the end game. At number 7, we have Gilly. So Gilly is fairly easy to get at A class. There's a decent amount of events to get her to S class. Her first skill, Preemptive, is a passive, so that will bypass canes. What this does is it turns off jewelry, and it also will lower their dodge by a percentage, making it easier to hit. Another good thing about Gilly is her second skill, Nonviolent Resistance. It is a guaranteed hit. Now, the Ignore defense or the penetration skill only goes up to 90%, so it's not quite 100%, but it is built-in penetration, so you can use her with straight up attack gear, and as you grow and get into the end game, she can be a very hard hitter. You can use her in the end game. At number 6, we have Chief. So he is a native S class, but he is very easy to get. They are always offering him. His first skill, Super Laser. This will increase the crit. It's not really that big of a deal. Crit is not a huge thing to increase, especially for walkers, as there is a lot of crit weather going around. His second skill, Rampage. Unfortunately, it's a 40% skill, but it is a guaranteed hit skill, which is very good, and the damage will increase. So it does hit very hard. He's not the hardest hitting in the game, but the mixture of him native as class, he's easy to get, and a guaranteed hit with damage ramp, you're going to be able to deal a lot of damage early game, and it will help you in the end game. At number 5, we have Hancock. So Hancock is pretty easy to get, at least when it comes to A class. There's events where you can get boxes for him. You can also slowly get his medals from the faction. His first skill, Feral Strength. This is going to lower the attack and defense, and this does stack. His second skill, Feral Instinct, is actually a passive. So what this is going to do is it's going to put a shield based on HP. So it triggers once at the start of the battle. So Hancock does suffer from no guaranteed hit. Also, his shield wipes away with the use of Steam Cannon. He's also a ramp commander, so once that shield is gone, it is difficult to ramp up his damage. But if you can avoid those situations, if you're smart about your play, you can very easily main Hancock all the way into the end game. He is especially powerful at the early game, so if you get him early, you can definitely deal a lot of damage. We have Blader at number 4. So Blader is a native S class. I'm pretty sure Blader is always offered, especially when you first start playing at the closed server. You can get him very easily. But unfortunately, Blader does have a lot of pros and cons. So his first skill, Pounce, is an ignore tear suppression attack, just like Bullet or Rock. However, it is only 20%. His second skill, however, Call of the Hunt, will increase your troops' attack, crit, and accuracy. So him being a native S class, you will have Call of the Hunt along with Awaken Airship. He can deal tremendous amount of damage at the early game. And if you choose to play him at the end game, you can use T1 with him, just like you could with Bullet or Rock. You can also use Tier 12. The main issue is he doesn't have a guaranteed hit. He is a ramp commander, so he will do more damage as the game goes on. But with his ease of access, how much you can get out of him in the early and mid game, even in the end game, that's why he's so high on this list. Number 3 is Vega. So Vega is a B commander. His first skill, Quick Replenish, it's not that important. All it does is it puts a heal on the troop that goes. Traditionally, Vega is a 1-slot bus commander, so Quick Replenish isn't really that important. You don't have to increase it. At the early game, it can help with the healing, though. At the end game, you don't need it past level 1. His second skill, Breakdown, is an incredibly powerful skill. Unfortunately, it is only a 40% skill, so it's a guaranteed hit skill. It also has the built-in penetration, but at max level, it's 120%, so you get the 100% penetration, and then you get the 20% bonus damage. Vega being a B class means he's pretty easy to get. It can take some time to get into S class, but once you do get him to S class, you'll be able to awaken him, max awakening, very cheap, get that 600% dodge on him. The thing that really does hold Vega back is Breakdown is only a 40% skill, otherwise he would be used more in the end game. But depending on your count, if you like Vega, you can use him in the end game with the proper gear. He will hit like a truck. At number 2, we have nekaj. So nekaj is a D-class commander, which means you will probably get him in your first few releases. Also, he's offered quite often from different events from 7 Pirates, so getting to him to S-class is not difficult. His first skill, anti-radar armor, just going to increase your dodge. It's nice, but it's not really what makes him good. His fourth skill, sniper, however, just like others on this list, it's only a 40% skill, so it does hold him back. But it's a guaranteed hit, and it's going to ignore the target's buffs. That's HP and defense. So kind of like Vega, because he's a D class, he's easy to get, he's easy to awaken. He ignores both HP and defense when he does trigger. nekaj can hit really hard. I think this is probably one of the most slept on commanders at the end game. He definitely gets better the higher troops and more tech you have around him. But at the early game, that guaranteed hit is definitely what you want because people are going to be stacking a bunch of dodge. And if you made it this far in the video, you can probably guess what my number 1 pick is. It's going to be Stella. So Stella you can release after getting your faction to 100%. She pops out quite often. There's also faction bonuses when it comes to releasing, so you can easily get her to S-class. Even at A-class in the early game, she's an incredible commander. So her first skill, Dizzy, what this is going to do is it's going to reduce the attack and accuracy of your opponent. So if they do manage to hit you, because you're lowering their accuracy and you're probably stacking some dodge on her, you'll be able to get her awakening to 600% dodge. But if they do hit you, that attack is going to be lowered, so it's not going to hit as hard. Infantry is squishy. And her second skill is probably one of the most famous skills in the game, Wings of Eternity. When this triggers, you're going to have an additional action. Now on this additional action, you can trigger gems and other skills. You're going to want to increase the level on this so the subsequent attacks will deal more damage. Note that this skill can only trigger 5 times, giving you a total of 6 attacks. Stella is number 1 on this list, not only because of how good she is at the early game, relatively easy she is to get, but at the end game there are multiple builds you can use depending on your tech level, how much you spend, or if you don't spend anything at all. Pretty much all of her builds are feasible for the most part, but especially for free-to-play or very low spenders, she's one of the best commanders that you can put time and effort into playing. Alright everyone, that is my list for the top 10 commanders. What do you think of my list? Did I leave someone out? Should I have swapped the positions? What are your thoughts in the comments? I want to thank you to my guild member or subscriber, one of those two. Switch them around, whichever one you want, for suggesting this video. I am the Grinch. Until next time, I'm out.